Hi, I'm Chief Halton, and we are in Ocala, Florida, and we're at REV's Apparatus and Technology Conference. We're in day 3, and today is Engine Day, and we've got our second engine of the day up. It's kind of like a beauty pageant. We got the swimsuit competition next, and so we had a great visit with our friends from KME. We looked at a fantastic rig. Chris and Ryan took us a great walk around. But with me now are Joe and Larry, and Joe and Larry are going to take a look at the E1 Emax. And E1, you know, builds an incredible custom rig. And so we're going to look at a video that's going to show us the Emax Max, right? I mean, the big player. And then we're going to take a walk around kind of the Emax standard, the more common Emax that we'd see out on the field today. So we don't want to confuse you with that. So we're going to look at 2 basic different profiles that you can get from E1. So give us a little backstory on the history of the Emax and a couple of key points you want to emphasize for everybody while we take a look at this beautiful rig.
The Emax, and you're going to see this with both units today, we're going to look at a 1,000 GPM or 1,000 gallon tank truck, and we're going to look at an 1,800 gallon truck. So the Emax is available, tank sizes 500 gallons to 1,800 gallons, and incredibly versatile. What really sticks out about these trucks is the amount of storage, the amount of compartmentation, and the amount, frankly, of the time that these customers have spent to really design these trucks. These trucks are sold, Chief, so I'm not going to be hawking something today. So these trucks are both being delivered to customers. I do want to thank, before we get to the first video, Chief George Rhodes in Clay Township in Algonac, Michigan. That we recently delivered 2 new Emaxes to them, and these trucks are just absolutely gorgeous. That's the truck that'll be featured in the video. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the other truck when we get closer to that in a little bit.
Oh, thank you very much. Joe, anything you want to add to that?
I was going to say the Emax, we've been producing that now for about 10 years. So we're real proud, and there's lots of different variations to it. Like you said, there's going to be a big body one in the video. This is more the traditional size. We also do a smaller one, even shorter, one that's all-wheel drive. We call an urban interface. And then the Emax, we actually rolled it out, and it's available in that aerials as well.
So, I like the all-wheel drive idea. That's a great idea for my brothers and sisters out there in California, in particular, where they dual purpose their rigs all the time. I mean, you just have to have that in the back of your mind. But that whole phenomenology of the urban WUI interface is growing. Doesn't matter if you're in Michigan, doesn't matter if you're in Idaho, doesn't matter if you're in Oklahoma. You don't have to be living in sunny Southern California anymore to have a major wildland urban interface issue. So you can get an Emax with all-wheel drive, and I did not know that, so that's great. 10-year proven platform, great rig. We've got a couple of videos for you. The first one we're going to take a look at is we're going to be looking at the Emax Super Emax, and this has got an 1,800 gallon tank.
Yes.
Big rig. So let's take a quick look at the video of the Emax from E1.
Hello, and thank you for joining the REV Apparatus and Technology Conference for 2021. My name is Larry Daniels. I'm Director of Sales for E1 here in Ocala, Florida. Today our featured truck is a 2021 E1 Typhoon chassis Emax pumper, designed and custom built as one of 2 units for Clay Township Fire Department in Algonac, Michigan. So this unit is built on a 2021 E1 Typhoon chassis. The Typhoon chassis was reconfigured in 2019 to add some really nice features to improve in safety, improve in ergonomics and usability for the end user. As with all E1 custom cabs, this is a fully extruded aluminum cab, 3/16 aluminum sheet metal, and an extruded aluminum tubular subframe and roll cage protection, making it among the safest cabs available in the fire service. The Typhoon for 2019 through 2021 currently also includes several upgrades to the interior and several upgrades to the exterior, and we're going to take a look at some of those features today. The body is a fully extruded aluminum 3/16 sheet metal body as well. And again, the fully extruded aluminum design substructure gives us a roll cage protection with the body as well. This truck is going into Michigan, as we talked about earlier, so it's going to experience some climate issues and challenges that we don't have here in Florida. So as with all E1 custom chassis with a C-channel frame, this particular truck has galvanized, powder coated, and painted frame rails. This particular unit also has some upgrades to that, including the rear underbody support and the front bumper extension, battery trays, basically all the hardware, all of the brackets and all on the frame are galvanized, powder coated, and painted for additional protection. That also features a lifetime warranty on the frame rails and a 25-year corrosion warranty for that galvanized protection. Additional corrosion protection on the E1 product includes, as standard, Geomet coated hardware on the chassis frame, as well as NanoProtect spray, a corrosion inhibiting spray on all electrical connections on the chassis as well. So we certainly understand the need for corrosion protection and making sure that these trucks stay up, they stay safe, and they stay in service for the end user. In 2019, we made several changes to the Typhoon chassis, and we're going to take a look at some of those now. The new Typhoon chassis features all new door handles on all 4 doors outside. The easy pull handles allow for a quicker and easier access in and out of the cab. Also in 2019, we changed from a full height, full length door panel to a split door panel, and this allows easier access inside the door for those moments when you need to get in there to do maintenance work or repair work. Door panels as standard are now aluminum and painted with protective Zolatone spray. These are also available in aluminum with Line-X or a similar type coating, or even in stainless steel. New door handles on the inside and the outside, latch mechanisms that are more durable and easier to operate for the end user. Handles on the insides of the door have been reduced in size but placed in the location where they're most convenient for climbing in and out of the truck. Additionally, we went to an all-metal dash, so the entire lower center dash, lower officer and driver side dash is metal, including the housing around the instrument cluster. We also now have a metal upper console, aluminum console, that is hinged to swing down out of the way for maintenance. We're actually continuing to make improvements on that, but it's good overhead, good for overhead maintenance. In the rear of the cab, we've improved the air conditioning system. We've gone to an air conditioning system that is raised up on the inside of the cab by about 4 inches, dramatically increasing the visibility from the rear to the front of the cab. This particular truck has larger windshields that are positioned just slightly higher for increased visibility out the front of the cab for the driver and the officer. You'll also notice that the strip between the 2 windshields is narrower than it's been in the past, again increasing that visibility. The door windows for the driver and officer doors are also a full glass window now. And when you have mirrors that are mounted on the side, it improves the visibility to the mirror. You'll notice also that this truck has several of the blackout features which are common in the industry right now. All of the steps, the wheels, handles, even the bezels and the grille on the front of the cab are all blacked out for that new modern look that a lot of people are looking for. This particular truck features, for firefighting, the E-Max pump. It's rated at 1,500 gallons per minute, and that is a pump that is private label built for E1 by Darley and has a 6-year warranty. We're going to talk a little bit more about the pump system in a little bit. The body, this is what we call our big body E-Max. You'll notice there are 4 compartments down the side. This particular truck has 1,830 gallons of liquid on it, so it's a big truck for lots of capability in the field. The water tank itself is 1,800, and there's a 30-gallon foam cell for the foam firefighting capability. Ladder storage on this particular unit is accomplished with a vertical tunnel on the officer's side rear of the truck. It allows for removal of the ladders from ground level. They're mounted vertically so they slide out on their beam. In addition to the ladder storage, there is storage for a folding ladder and pike poles, all accessible from the ground. There is a lower B1 compartment that has a slide-out tray for storage of equipment. You'll notice that the back is flat. Again, that comes from the 1,800-gallon tank. So in order to keep the truck as relatively low as possible, weight distribution, the water tank comes all the way to the rear in this area. We have 2 pre-connects at the rear, one at the very top and one just under the hose bed on this side. And there is a 4-piece aluminum hose bed cover that lifts up, and we'll show you that shortly. Hard tubes are stored in the upper driver's side rear of the body, and all of that hose bed and that storage up top is accessible by a 12-inch wide narrow Zyco ladder to the rear for rear access on the body. The officer side of the body is a mirror image of the driver's side, with the exception of the front right compartment is a storage compartment as opposed to housing the enclosed pump panel. That right side front compartment does include a removable panel which accesses the plumbing that is in the upper forward part of the body, and that allows for good quick access into the plumbing area to access the stainless steel plumbing and the valving and everything for maintenance or for repair work. The upper portions of the officer side compartment are 12 inches deep as opposed to 24 on the driver's side, and that's due again to that vertical ladder storage that's coming in from the rear of the body.
And we're back, and I have to tell you, Larry, who was excellent, great job on the video, but it was like Mystery Science Theater sitting next to Joe, Jeb, and Larry. And the camera does add, we figured, what was it, 45, 46 pounds?
Yeah, and unfortunately they had 3 cameras on me, so it was a really bad day for me.
It was a bad day. That was a great walk around, and we saw some amazing amount of compartmentation, as well as some really interesting features, like having your pump panel in an enclosed area. Your hard suctions are up there on the top, so they're not exposed to sunlight, which is a big deal. And we're going to take a look at that physically in a minute. But I really want to take a look a second as we walk through, and Larry was showing us that cab. That was pretty interesting. The Typhoon that we grew up with, very different look and feel. I mean, customer input, what drove most of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a lot of input on the updates from customers. In fact, the majority of them are straight from the customers that asked for updates and changes. So we took all those into account, and then we worked with engineering and launched this updated version, and we're getting really good comments and feedbacks from customers about it. So real happy with the way it turned out, and Larry did a good job walking through it in the video.
So what are some of those key changes that we made in the Typhoon from Generation 1 to Generation 2 Typhoon cab?
Yeah, that's a great, we really hardened the chassis all the way from the ground up, but from the cab side of it, the interior is all heavy duty aluminum. We use cast dash, all aluminum overhead. The air conditioning system, we had customers telling us that they'd like it to be a reduced profile. You know, they said, we want it to go away, just put it somewhere. Well, the reality is air conditioning's got to take some space, right? So what we did is we worked with the manufacturer and got it about 4 inches closer to the ceiling, which really opened up. It doesn't sound like much, but when you take that air conditioner and move it up, it really helped. We opened up the windshield, got the wipers to park out of the way, changed the looks on the outside, because everybody's saying, you know, it looks like the one I bought 20 years ago. So we fixed that as well. So lots of improvements to doors, the stepping, hardware, windows. So we made just a tremendous amount of changes all throughout it.
It's nice to hear that the feedback from the men and women that are riding on the rigs really matters when it comes, you know, to E1 and how you work with the customer when we come in. Because you have to remember that when you go to do your rig spec, there's a lot of folks who spec rigs before you. You're not the first person to show up at E1's doorstep or, you know, KME's doorstep or Ferrari's doorstep. But when you show up, these good folks are going to say, okay, here's what they did here and here's what they did here, and some things you might want to think about, give you some more options. But really, really nicely done. I like the look and feel of it. And to your point about, you know, raising the air conditioner, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're riding in the back, your extra set of eyes can be extremely useful, because oftentimes the officer's got his, you know, or her face down, they're looking at a map, or they're thinking about how they're going to lay things out at the fire, and the engineer's driving and they're doing what they can do. But it's always nice to have that extra set of eyeballs, you know, seeing what's going ahead of us going down the road. And just, you know, it's kind of like when you were a kid and in my day, you rode backwards in a station wagon and you never got to see anything except the other cars coming at you. So it's kind of nice to be able to see, you know, from those back seats. I like that, raising the AC and the greater visibility in the front, and even just getting the wipers out of the way. Doesn't sound like a big deal until you see it, till you experience it. So thank you guys for doing that. Anything else, Larry, want me to throw in?
I was just going to throw in, you know, Joe's talking about voice of the customer, and the voice of the customer thing is so important, because as sales guys, a lot of times, and people that work at the plant designing trucks, we don't always have the benefit of riding in the trucks and climbing in and out of the trucks. So whether it's lower steps to the ground, whether it's an extra handrail, whether it's a little bit more visibility looking out the front as you're driving up to the scene, it's all those things. You know, we've focused the last couple of days, you know, every one of these trucks you've seen has really been about one core thing, and that's safety. We talked about that a little bit yesterday in the roundup. And we gotta consistently make these trucks as safe as we can. So we welcome that feedback when customers come to do pre-construction conferences, final inspections. You know, one of the things we do at final inspections a lot of time is add handrails. People climb up and down on the truck. It looks great on two-dimensional paper, but when you see that three-dimensional real truck in front of you and you go to climb up and down on it, there's always a place where I could use another handrail here, or I could use another grip up here or something. So we do a lot of that with final inspections and at pre-construction.
And you know, it raises a great point, and we looked at that yesterday. We'll look at it again today, but especially the officer, when you're getting out, you know, it's not uncommon to see an officer almost lose their, you know, balance because they're coming out. Now, oftentimes we've got our pack on already, and that space is different. For the crew in the back, getting out, you've got a little more area to work with, but the officer, you know, you've got the radio, you've got your box, you're inside, so you're getting out of almost like a cockpit, and it used to be, you felt like you were, you know, you felt like you were being ejected.
And you mentioned the radio and the box and the turnout gear and all that. The other thing that's very different is when we're here at the plant, we don't have all of that stuff in the cab. So when that truck gets out there and gets in service and all of that stuff goes in the cab, the last thing they need to be thinking about is what am I going to grab onto to try to get out of this thing. So that's what we try to focus on.
And you got to remember, we usually have a bobblehead doll there for the local baseball team too, or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
We add all kinds of things to make our rigs, right? Our local stuff. So that was really good. So we got another quick video. It's going to get you some overview of what it looks like from the top and the hose bed area, and a few other issues with the E-Max that I think you really want to see. So let's take a look at the E1 E-Max. This is going to give us a look from the top down and some of the other things we couldn't see in the first video.
As we said earlier, this is a big body E-Max pumper, and that translates to a ton of available compartment space and usable compartment space. Again, this truck was designed and custom built for the needs in Clay Township, so we've done a really nice job laying out the compartments and all. The E-Max pump allows us to have the operator's panel enclosed so that it's protected from the weather and stays nice and clean. It also has a full access panel here that allows you to access the back of the gauges and the handles and all in case you have any issues there needed for maintenance. Each one of these compartments was laid out at the pre-construction conference to store what Clay Township needs to do their job every day. So you'll notice there's pack track on the back wall for mounting of appliances, 2 adjustable shelves in here and a 500-pound rollout tray, all accessible to the pump operator right here at the front of the truck. Over the wheel well area, and this area that's typically hard to reach in a full depth compartment, we've added a swing out tool board that also has pack track on both sides. It locks in, locks out, and this is great for storing long handle tools and smaller things that you need to be able to have access to. Being able to do this essentially triples the amount of space in this compartment that otherwise would be very difficult to access and very difficult to use. In the large 56-inch wide rear compartment, we have adjustable shelving for smaller items here, and then we have 2 of these slide out, lock in, lock out tool boards. Again, pack track on both sides for versatility in storing equipment. The officer side compartments are again the mirrored width of the compartments and feature rollout trays and adjustable shelving, and that allows versatility on the officer side as well. This side, the driver's side with the full height, full depth compartments gives us the ability to use the slide out, lock in, lock out compartment, rollout trays and tool boards and all for additional versatility, as this will be the main side of the truck that's used. This E1 Typhoon chassis is powered by the Cummins L9 450 horsepower motor paired to an Allison EVS 3000 series transmission. The GVWR on the truck is 55,000 pounds with a 20,000 pound front axle, 35,000 pound rear axle, and that gives us lots of carrying capacity for the 1,830 gallon tank, the 5 personnel inside the cab, and all the equipment in these huge compartments. A couple of the compartments I also want to talk about are the ALS compartments, the medical compartments on both sides of the cab. Both of these are accessible from the ground outside. They have adjustable shelves inside the compartments, but they're also accessible from inside the cab. When you're inside the cab traveling to the scene or at the scene and need to get in the cab, you have full accessibility from the ground level or from inside the cab to access anything in those compartments. Additionally, in the cab, we talked about this truck being customized for Clay Township. We have a nice storage area in the center between those two cabinets. That's got a cargo net on it to keep anything from coming back into the occupant area. And we've utilized, with the L9 motor, we've utilized the reduced profile engine cover, giving us about 9 more inches of floor space in the cab. There are 3 Bostrom air pack seats across the back wall, each featuring a Smart Dock air bottle bracket and heaters below. Again, this truck's going to Michigan, so we have heaters below in the rear for additional heat inside the cab. Also, you can get a nice view of that air conditioning unit here that's been raised up 4 inches in the cab to increase the visibility of the forward-facing firefighters looking out the front to assess the scene as they're on their way. With the 67.5-inch Typhoon cab, we also have room at the rear to put a transverse storage compartment below the rear seats and to the rear of the cab. Again, everything is about storage and giving them ample amount of storage and additional storage to stick stuff that, that they may not otherwise have a house for or home for. So this gives us good capability to do that. You'll notice all of the steps on the body, all of the steps on the cab, inside the doors and all are all Line-X protected. We have the high impact poly rub rails on the sides of the truck, rubber fenderettes on the side of the truck. Again, this is going to be a workhorse and a very durable truck for Clay Township and what they have to do each and every day. The Speedlays feature removable trays. Most departments buy a second set of trays. They can keep a set at the station prepackaged. These, when you pull them off the truck, repack them, put them back in, pre-connect them here. These are actually bolted in for shipping of the truck, so not going to be able to pull those out and show them to you. There's also backboard storage just above the top here, and in the rear wall of this integrated pump module, there is an access panel that allows access into the plumbing, which is tucked into the front piece of the body. The Emax pump allows us to keep the wheelbase nice and tight. It's an integrated design for a shorter wheelbase and better maneuverability. This truck, everything you see here is only 34 feet 4 inches long, 213-inch wheelbase with a 45-degree cramp angle. So an incredibly maneuverable truck with a lot of stuff on it. Up top, the hose bed is covered by 4 aluminum hose bed covers. Each are hinged to the outside of the truck. Each are held in place by a positive lock when it's closed and a positive lock when it's open. So again, ultimate safety. The aluminum hose bed covers are tread plate covered with aggressive non-skid tread plate. So it allows you to be able to walk around up top here on top of the covers. Additionally, there are 4 upper body compartments. The 2 on the driver's side actually hold hard suction tubes, but there's additional storage towards the front as well. On the officer side, there are 2 additional compartments for storage of additional equipment on top of the body. To assist in the firefighting capability of the truck, we have a 4-inch electric discharge equipped with a TFT hurricane monitor. This is fully operational, raises, lowers, rotates, and flows from ground level, keeping the firefighter at the scene on the ground level and not having to climb up and down the truck. You'll notice there's also ample storage on top of the body, open for foam pails or whatever needs to be stored up here, kind of out of the way. Access to the water and foam tank fills are accomplished through a door in the aluminum hose bed cover. Again, this water tank is 1,800 gallons. The foam tank is 30 gallons. So 1,830 gallons of firefighting capability carried on this truck at all times.
So I misspoke. We were looking at the video, and I did not know that Larry was going to go through all the compartments and get up top, so thank you for doing that. That was an incredible view. A lot of compartments, lots to talk about with compartments and the use of compartments and all of the options that you can get with compartments on the E1 Emax. So Joe, why don't you give us a little 411 on some of the compartment concepts that you have there, some of the variations on the theme that we can go for, and why the E1, you know, especially the through and throughs. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, that compartment is over top of the Speedlays. That is a really nice pass-through, and they can be used for backboard, stokes, other pre-connected hand lines. So just a lot of different things, and we customize the width of it too for what people want to put in it. But then moving down the side of the truck, you notice that video showed the 4 compartments on each side. Yeah. We also call it a big body Emax, but it is just tremendous in storage space. And then when you walk around to the back, now that truck has the 1,800 gallon tank, but with the 1,000 gallon tank, that's a full height B1 compartment as well. So it really has loads of storage space, and then Larry was up on top and you saw all the rooftop compartments. Now that truck had the narrow version. There's also a wider version of rooftop compartment. So lots of different options to meet customer requirements, and we'll build them as they need them. We've actually done some where the pump panel compartment needed to be a little bit wider to put a CAF system in it. So we'll customize the compartmentation based on what the customer's looking for.
You know, when you look at a rig like the E1 Max and you look at all that compartment space, you wonder, you know, how are you going to fill all that? But then the minute you get a hold of that rig, I guarantee a week after you have it, it'll be like, I wish we had one more compartment, because you always have another tool that you want to get on the rig. So really nice layout on the E1. And now the big body,
Yep, that's our big body version.
That's the big body version. What is the wheelbase on that? Do you guys happen to know?
Yeah, this
that one's 213.
213.
Yeah, 213 and a shade over 36 feet long. So it's a big truck, but it's got a lot going on, a lot of customization.
It does, and 1,800 gallons of water, and we're talking about a lot of compartments and tools. So what's our power plant? What are you recommending for that rig?
Yeah, that truck's got an L9 in it, 450 horsepower. We can also put the X12, 500 horsepower, or even an X15 if they really want a lot of pulling power. We can do an X15 up to 605, but don't do too many of those. But most of them are actually L9 engines.
L9s,
yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of good for gas mileage and all that, but you could go all the way up to a 15 if you really had a concern.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's really good to know. Anything else you want before we go to our last piece of video, Larry, you want to talk about?
Again, I think the customization is really key. You know, we've touched a couple of times about the different tank sizes and the different body sizes. The truck we're going to have live in the studio here in a few minutes, totally different layout. It still features that E-Max pump, shorter wheelbase, lots of compartmentation, but you're going to see a completely different laid out truck, so it's going to be pretty neat to look at that.
I did like the idea where you had even the fill was covered, so virtually nothing's exposed to the elements out there. And you talked about Michigan, Florida, but that's a big deal. I mean, keeping sunlight off your equipment, off your tools, especially anything that's plastic, you're going to have degradation. So if it's a hard suction, or if it's anything that could be prone to degradation by sunlight, is basically covered on the top of that truck. So that was fascinating to see. We've got one more short video, and then Larry and I are going to climb all over an E1 E-Max and show you some more things. Unbelievably, if you can imagine it, there's a lot more to unpack with this engine. So can we see the third video?
The front of this E1 Typhoon pumper is really busy, but it's extremely well laid out and absolutely beautiful. A personal favorite of mine is the American flag painted into the grill. With this black grill, it just makes it really pop out and look really, really nice. You'll notice the bezels are all blacked out. The Typhoon for 2019 has a daytime running light feature, so it allows strip lights in here, turn signals and warning lights up top. If you do elect to do additional warning lights, this can turn into a turn signal, so it gives us a little bit more functionality for lighting on the front of the truck. FireTech LED headlights, those have the nice halo beam around them. Again, the windshield wipers on this model actually park down low, more in an automotive style. They're radial wipers, heavy duty. They increase the visibility by being able to look out and not see that wiper sticking up. The Ramco mirrors in this feature are again blacked out, all Line-X across the top of the bumper. This is a 12-inch heavy-duty steel bumper, so this thing is really going to take some abuse and impact over the years. In that bumper, in this 20-inch extension, we have a front jump line with an 1 3/4 pre-connect to store about 150 feet of pre-connected hose with a nozzle, a 6-inch front intake that has a swivel on it to help you get positioned correctly, and then a nice Q2B tucked into the front bumper and protected by this steel structure. Chevron striping on the front bumper for increased visibility. It's all about being able to see these trucks when they're on the scene and being able to be visible to those folks around you. Additionally, up top, we have a FireTech 72-inch 12-volt brow light. That brow light features 3 different functions for flood and spot so that it can be customized for whatever scene you're on. It also integrates the chassis clearance lights into the top there so that they're not located on the cab. You'll also notice down the side of the truck, there are 3 12-volt 9-inch FireTech scene lights. Again, all 12-volt, eliminating the need for a generator on this truck. For additional firefighter safety and in-cab communication, this truck also features a FireCom intercom system for each of the seating positions. To assist in backing up the truck safely, again, this is a big truck in a tight area, backing up the truck safely is helped by a Safety Vision rear camera system, rear backup camera system that goes through the VMUX electrical Vista 4 display inside the cab. For maneuverability in tight areas, it also has an officer side camera, so anything happening to the right side of the truck can be seen with a simple flip of the turn signal to the right side. Again, increasing visibility and safety of this unit when it's on the road. Cab tilt is featured in the right front compartment in the lower area, so it's kind of nice and out of the way. And in this area in the upper portion of the compartment is a removable access panel that allows access again to the stainless steel plumbing and the valving that's tucked away in the front part of the body. Again, it's all about being able to get visibility and get accessibility to these trucks to minimize downtime for repair. Again, tons and tons and tons of features on this truck. This truck is featured with Robinson ROM roll-up doors, all painted to match the exterior paint of the truck. Ease of operation, and then each of these doors also features a drip pan underneath to keep the compartment nice and clean inside in a nasty environment. In the wheel well area, we have storage for additional SCBA bottle tubes, and those will be strapped into place to keep them secure. The fenderettes on the cab and the body are the rubber high impact design, again, increasing durability while the truck's in the field. We also talked earlier about the poly rub rail. All of that is actually routed out for the lighting and everything to be inside and again, protect the side of the body and the side of the truck. The E1 E-MAX pump panel again allows us to enclose the pump panel inside the front compartment of the body, keeping it nice and clean and protected in the environment in Michigan that this truck is going to go to. For the operator, they raise the roll-up door up out of the way. Everything is right here, double stacked. You'll notice that each of the discharge handles is color-coded and coincides with the discharge gauge, also color-coded. It makes it nice and easy to read, no question about what you're working with. Foam and water gauges on the panel, in control system on the panel from FRC, and then we have the electric deck gun that we talked about a little bit earlier, as well as an electric discharge on the right side for the 4-inch. And electric control for the front intake. Also, another feature I really like about this panel design is the accessibility from the driver, from the operator's position to be able to get in here and work on something. You have accessibility to the gauges, to the handles, to the foam system, and also we have a pump compartment heater on this truck. Going into Michigan, they're going to endure a lot of things again that we don't have here in Florida. So this truck has a pump compartment heater and features a pump compartment heat pan underneath. Removable panels on the bottom of that pan and the sides of that pan. You might not need to use it in the summertime, but in the wintertime, if that gets gummed up with slush or ice or anything, it's easy to access that to be able to clean it out. Additional visibility and safety on the rear of the truck includes the upper rear warning lights, FireTech 12-volt scene lights to the rear with the work light switch on the driver's side rear of the body to operate those. Additionally, we have a Safety Vision center-mounted rear backup camera with a traffic control light at the rear of the truck to control traffic on scene. This truck has also featured the Weldon VMUX electrical system with the Vista 4 screen on the driver's side. Everything electronically is able to be controlled right from the driver's position. You'll notice we have the crew guard. The crew guard shows that I'm in the driver's seat. It's red because I'm not buckled up. This is for every seating position in the truck and additional safety and accountability for all crew members in the truck. We have the rear camera that shows a rear view when backing up, and the officer side camera that we talked about earlier that shows the officer side view. You can also control emergency lighting. You can control your warning lights, compartment lights, basically anything electronic on the truck can be controlled from right here. This truck is also equipped with Axis Smart Truck technology. The Axis Smart Truck technology is connectivity to the factory, to the fire department, and to the dealership, West Shore Services in Michigan, that allows us to troubleshoot basic functional issues and basic warnings on the truck. Again, maximizing the uptime for the truck, minimizing the out of service time, and making sure that if something happens, we're on top of it to get it corrected.
And we are live. We're back. It's Engine Day. We are at REV's Apparatus and Technology Conference. It's a fantastic day here in Ocala, Florida. And right here is an E-Max, an E1 E-Max. We're going to put our hands all over this beautiful rig. What an incredible bumper. I always like to start at the bumper. When we talk about functionality,
we've got a lot of stuff going on this truck. We'll get to the bumper. I want to talk about this tray, but first I want to point out the beautiful American flag on the front of this. Obviously that's a trend. You saw it on the last truck. Just a really nice layout here, but to your point, this is a really busy front bumper. This thing, nice raised lid, comes up, gives you lots of storage underneath, pre-connected line there on the driver's side, and then 2 additional wells here for additional storage up top. Again, like we saw yesterday, this is the heavy-duty steel bumper. The diamond plate lip at the top rolls over because, again, this is an area that's going to get beat up a lot and abused a lot. Q2B is completely tucked inside of that bumper to keep it nice and protected. So a lot going on up here.
and again, this is a custom rig. So, and actually the folks who bought this rig are coming tomorrow to do the final walkthrough and acceptance. So you can, there are 1,000 variations on a theme
Absolutely.
for a good bumper.
Absolutely.
The only thing I don't like about this is it does block the flag when it's open. So
Absolutely,
I'm
yes,
going to
yes.
close it back up, which is, I'm just teasing. But I also really appreciate, these are American-made rigs. This is an American company. This is the greatest country in the world. And that's fantastic. I love seeing that. That's beautiful. And of course, we've got the roto ray above it, which is just iconic for us firefighters. Nice touch. I really enjoy seeing that. And please, the classic pedestrian bell.
The bell as well.
If that doesn't warm the cockles of your heart, you're dead. I mean, that's just the most American thing you can imagine. Hearing that pedestrian bell when the rig is coming down the street, you know, a beautiful roto ray in your rearview mirror letting you know to pull over. Just gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous. Well done E1. I like the recess on my siren there. That's beautiful, nice touch, very nice touch.
While we move around the
Great
cab,
job.
I also want to mention, as you said, Highlands County, Florida, they're coming in tomorrow to inspect this truck. So just like we did with Clay Township, want to really thank Chief Mark Bayshore and Chief Dan Spillman for allowing us to use this truck today. You get a sneak preview of it today. Hopefully you're watching, but beautiful truck. Can't wait to see you guys here tomorrow to take acceptance of this thing.
So this is Mark's truck?
It is,
Oh,
yes, sir.
Mark's a buddy of mine.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So
Small
Mark,
world.
I'm gonna wipe my feet, Mark, before I get in and out of your rig. So she'll be clean.
But we won't let him put the first scratch on it.
No, I won't let anybody put a scratch on it. She's just gorgeous. So thank you, Mark, for letting. You know, we kind of we've got so much to see. We've talked a lot about all the upgrades to the Typhoon cab. So I'm going to go past that, but I did want to talk really quickly here. I like this. So you were telling me earlier that somebody from the E1 plant actually designed this. So let's just cover this real quick.
If you've worked with these auto ejects before, there's a big box inside the cab there tucked in the wall, and if you've got to replace that, the only way to get to that in the past has been to go through that interior cab wall. You got a lot of obstructions in there with seating wall and all that, so this panel actually comes off with 8 screws, pulls right out. There's a pigtail on the back of each one of these. You can replace them in about 15 minutes versus a couple hours of tearing the inside of the truck apart. All about being easy and being easy to take care of and keep in service.
Great idea. I like that a lot. So I'm gonna pop in the cab. Mark, I promise, my boots are clean. Nice, nicely laid out. We were talking about access and egress. This is all hard aluminum. You can clean it. It's painted, but easy to clean, reflective for safety.
Striping on the bottom.
Very nice.
And we're going to see some really good interior shots. This is our 74-inch E-Max. So this has that access door there behind the Chief that gives you access inside, some compartmentation. We're going to take a look at that stuff inside first, talk about the inside of the cab, and then take a look at this.
I remember we talked about getting in and out, handle, boom, I'm coming in. So I'm as secure as can be. Nice and roomy, lots of headroom, and this is laid out. Mark and his troops decided this is how they wanted it to look and feel. I like it. This is all clean cab concept, right? So again, we're talking about heavy aluminum. We're not talking about any plastic here. The diamond plate, completely cleanable. Now, talk to me about this fabric. I can scrub this, clean this.
This is all vinyl seating, so it's easy to wipe off, easy to keep clean. All of the walls inside the cab, the ceiling, everything is aluminum. Again, it's easy to wipe down, easy to keep clean. This particular truck has the HEPA filter system in it that we saw yesterday. But what I really like about this cab is the 74-inch cab opens up the rear end. Even though we've got 4 folks back here, we've got plenty of room. We've got you and I and a camera guy back here. So we've got plenty of room back here, but look at the compartmentation that's around us here. We've got compartments on each side of us, compartments all the way up in the vista roof here. So there's plenty of storage space, just plenty of room to put stuff in this cab.
Yeah, really, you're really right, and it's accessible from inside, accessible from outside. Really well done. Really well done. I like that. Very comfortable.
Good.
And easy to clean. So, clean cab concept. Well done. Really well done. I like it, and I like the. You're right. This is roomy.
Absolutely.
This is roomy. All
Let's
right,
take a look at the
let's keep
outside.
going. Yeah, let's keep going. And again, you can tell firefighters had some input. Here's a rail, here's a handle. You come in, you're coming out. Sweet, really nice, really nice. Mark, I did put a piece of bubble gum under the seat, so I left that, just kidding.
74-inch cab also gives us room for some really nice storage area. We saw the cabinets from the inside, but this gives you the ability to see that storage space from the outside. And Chief, if you look, that's a transverse compartment.
Wow, hello Paul, how are you?
You're looking all the way across the truck there at the frame rail height.
So obviously there's all kinds of equipment that we have that we're going to want to be able to, put all the way through, and then we can get at it from either side. So I really like that, and I can think of a dozen different tools that I would lay in there that I'd want to grab access to on a routine basis. So it's very nicely done. And if I'm sitting in here and I want something, maybe I'm going to access mostly from the cab. But these, if you can see here, it's fully adjustable. So I could put this shelf all the way up to here if I wanted, or I could lower it all the way down to here. So depending on what piece of equipment I want to position here,
Versatility.
I've got a lot to play with there. So this, I thought this was kind of interesting. I like this idea. This is kind of different. So these are my pre-connects, right? And I'm looking. Here's my hookup right here. But these are. If I can get this to play with me here. And pull this out. I can take this completely out. I could load my hose, pick it back up, and slide it in if I wanted to. So it's a slide tray for your hose. I like that, and I really do. That's I appreciate that. That's kind of different. What have I got up here?
We've got some, again, transverse storage space up top. There's space up there. This is actually wide enough. You'll know this is bumped out, so
Yeah.
a Stokes basket will fit up here. Stokes
Really?
basket, backboards, lots of additional cross-truck storage up there.
Really, really nicely done.
The pump panel you saw in the video, the Emax pump gives us the ability to keep the wheelbase nice and tight. The Emax is an E1 branded pump that's private labeled for us by Darley. Darley, obviously one of our sponsors for this event. We really appreciate their support as well.
So this is a Darley pump behind here.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
We have the
Beautiful.
decontamination hookup that we talked about earlier on one of the previous rigs. So again, talking about safety, talking about health and safety for firefighters, being able to decon at the scene before you get in that clean cab definitely makes a difference.
And if you have a chance, Darley's obviously one of our sponsors. Please go. There's a lot of unique features about a Darley pump that you really want to look at, and the Darley pump is engineered from the inside to the outside to the sides of the inside and the outside. So
Absolutely.
And they'll be happy to walk you through it. So please, whether it's IDEX or Darley or Hendrickson, make sure our sponsors know how much we appreciate them. Take a chance to go to their sites. So this is our pump panel compartment that is hidden, from view as it's going down the road, protected from the elements, which is a nice idea. So easy roll-up door. Here's my pump panel.
Yeah, it's laid out very nicely. You'll notice that each of your discharge handles is right with the gauge. Foam is clearly identified. And again, one of the things that I really like about this panel is there's an access panel here that allows access to the gauges, to the governor system, to the foam system and everything. So everything right here, again, it's all about being able to get to what you need to keep the truck up and running and minimize any out of service time. And all of this is right here for the operator.
Again, access to pieces of your equipment that require maintenance routinely. So very easy to put back together for somebody whose fingers work, not for mine, obviously. But 15, there we go. There we go, I got her.
Just like the previous truck, lots and lots and lots of compartmentation and lots of features for storage. One of the neat things about doing these pre-construction conferences is we go compartment by compartment and we talk with the department, what are you going to put in here? How do you want to store it? What do you need to roll out? What do you need access to? So you'll notice lots of rollout trays, lots of adjustable shelving, and lots of opportunity to store that equipment.
Nice, easy to handle, very intuitive, and again, completely adjustable. So really well done. Really well done. I like it.
Storage in the wheel wells for air bottles. We've got 10 air bottles stored in the wheel wells, 6 on the other side, 4 on this side. Really nice option here, the slide out, roll down, or roll out, slide down tray, tilt down tray. So this is actually going to bring that equipment again a little bit more accessible to you when you're standing from the ground level. And again, fully adjustable within the compartment.
What's my weight here again?
That's a 500-pound tray.
Huh. Very nice. Slide Master, huh?
Yes, sir.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Another 56-inch wide rear compartment back here. Again, multiple slide-out trays that are adjustable. Lots of storage space. I mean, it's, as you said earlier, you know, you think about this when you get that truck, how am I going to fill all that space? But they look at that more of a challenge, I think. So they'll make sure they figure out how to do that.
It's what do I not put on it?
Exactly.
Right, at this point.
Exactly.
So you've got the room. What do I not put on it? Really well done. I like it. I like the depth of it is phenomenal. That's a lot.
Full height, full depth on both sides of this rig. We're going to talk a little bit about the ladder storage in a minute. They're tucked up top, out of the way. They're dropped down on a hydraulic rack, but it gives you full height, full depth on both sides. So the compartmentation is just massive.
And so my hard suctions are up there. I can't see them, but they're also completely concealed from the elements, which is really a great idea. So.
As we move around the back of the truck, we've got the access ladder. I think we've seen this on a couple of rigs this week, but again, we're talking a lot about safety, being able to access everything on the truck, up and down the truck, and this is just a really nice, comfortable climb. It does give you access to those hard tubes that you were talking about up there just a few minutes ago. Another thing I like while you're up there, take a look at that hose bed, how it's offset to the driver's side.
Yeah, so...
So we've got 1,000 feet of 5-inch, 300 or 500 feet of 3-inch, and 2 sections of 200 feet of 2.5-inch. So it's a big, deep hose bed, lots of storage up there. But again, it's pretty accessible. It's relatively low to the ground and still with a 1,000-gallon tank.
And this is a step, so this is rated for stepping?
Yes, sir. That's and we call it an intermediate platform, but it's a workspace up there that allows you access to the top of the body to get those hose bed covers lifted up or repack hose or into the top.
You know, the functionality of being able to climb up and be able to step back down, I really like that. I like the comfort of it. Like you said, you're listening to people, you know, the men and women like myself that have to work on these rigs. That climbing angle, that's comfortable as can be.
Natural.
Yeah, you know, you want to if you want to, you know, go to work, you got to be comfortable, and it's nice and wide. My boots fit easy. That's a nice thing. So,
more shelving and trays, backup camera to the rear, traffic control light at the rear. So again, lots of visibility and keeping this thing safe on the fire ground.
So attic ladder, pike poles.
Yes, sir. And then we talked about the ladders a little bit earlier. There are various ways, again, the versatility of this truck from 500 gallons to 1,800 gallon tanks. Ladders in this particular truck are stored horizontally at the top of the truck. Notice also that we've notched out the body on this side to keep the ladders at the same height as the body, so they're not sticking way up in the air catching trees or branches or whatever. Tucked in very nicely. The other options on this particular body are a vertical ladder tunnel here, with a smaller tank, or even a horizontal ladder tunnel here with a 500-gallon tank. You can actually slide your ladders inside here, again giving the ability to get full height, full depth on the officer side as well. So the beauty of custom trucks is if we can try to match up what we're doing with the truck to meet your specific needs.
You know, I'd never really thought much about, but the offset hose bed, really nice idea, because now I've got my ladder storage, and and so how much hose, how much 5 could I lay in there? Any idea?
This is set up, you'll notice that permanent divider is kicked off to the driver's side. You see the different sizes of the covers.
Sure
That's
did.
1,000 feet of 5-inch here, and then we have room for 500 feet of 3-inch and two lays of 200 feet of 2.5.
2.5.
So a lot of hose. To be able to find.
And a lot of people use the 3. Sometimes they'll opt out and just go all 2.5. And then some folks are 3-inch aficionados. There are folks that actually still, you know, maneuver that. So wonderful. I love it.
Exactly.
Another great compartment right here. This is what we're talking about. Full height. So you can only imagine how much tools and equipment. Here's our ladder, so this is your hydraulics. She's going to come down from here. And nice little feature that Larry was telling me about earlier, if my doors are open, I can't lower my ladder.
Correct, that's right, that's right. It's, you can still access the compartments from behind once that rack is down, but again, for safety, when the doors are open, the assumption is somebody's working on this side of the truck, and we don't want that ladder rack to come down while they're over here.
I really like it. That's really nice. And again, here's our through and through compartments, and again, the cab. So how do we have any questions come in, Ed? You're at our desk. Any questions come in?
The maximum available rating on the pump that is in the EMAX. So most of the trucks we build have a 1500 GPM pump. So this, the pump system though, we also have now available up to 2000 GPM. So that can be done with several different pump manufacturers. And the question kind of is a twofold that came in. The second part of it is the pump split shaft driven or is it PTO? And what that means is by split shaft, is it in the main drive line between the transmission and the rear axle? So while a majority of them are done that way, we also have done quite a few that have a PTO driven version of the pump. And what that means is it's driven off the transmission power takeoff, and that allows for pump and roll as well. So there's a couple different ways we can drive that pump. So that's a really good question.
That's a great question. We're just coming around the back again and taking a look at her one last time before we join you back at the desk. You know, I'm just figuring how I'd lay it out, and I'd love to, you know, being friends with Mark, I'd love to talk to him about some of the ideas that they had as they put this as they put this rig together, because she's just really neat, and I'm trying to picture where I'm going to put stuff. So we got electrical access in here, so I can get to my.
We do. This is a fully multiplexed electrical system, but in each of the rear side compartments there is an access panel to get to your nodes and all, so that you can touch those, and again, ease of maintenance and ease of accessibility to get to what you need to work on.
Really laid out. Ed, we got any other questions, Ed?
We do. We've got another one come in. Now this one's anonymous, but it says, what are the ergonomics for emergency vehicle technician to have access to the pump? So with that, we've actually several different ways to do that. One is Larry showed the access panel that is in the pump compartment, right there where the pump operator's panel is. And then we also have on the right side of the truck, so the officer side, in the back wall of the compartment, there's a large access panel to get into work on the pump and plumbing. And then additionally, up front where the speed lays are in the upper storage, we actually have removable panels there. And then when you tilt the cab, the front of the body has a panel that opens up. So for the more in-depth work and repair, you can open her up from the front as well. And then obviously the pan on the top of the body is a bolt-on as well. So that'll unbolt and really get into the entire pump compartment. So multiple ways, whether you just need quick access or whether you need to really get into major service work.
And you can tell these guys are prepared because I even brought the schematics. So I'm sitting here and we're looking at the rig, and he's making notes. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic. I love you. I love you. Do we have any more questions?
We have another one. Yes, it says, what are the water tank sizes available on an EMAX? So that's a really good question. Typically, we'll go from 530 gallons up to the vehicle that you saw in the videos earlier, which is 1,830 gallons. And then anywhere in between. So 780 is very popular. A 1030 tank is very popular. In fact, one truck we took to a trade show was an 1,830 gallon tank, and it had a Newton dump on the back of it. So it was essentially a double duty between a pumper and a tanker. Yeah, okay. Exactly. So very versatile product.
I like that idea. Yeah. You know, and having the Newton on the back, you could do a dump. And then
shuttle water,
or operate as a pumper if you want to operate as a pumper.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a great idea, because you never know when you're going to need to do that. If you got an area where you do a lot of places that are on hydranted, and you want to be able to shuttle, there you go. So you've got a pumper that can actually shuttle a great deal of water. So these are custom pieces of equipment. So the only limits are really your imagination, and as we were saying earlier, your wallet. But don't worry about the wallet part. just worry about the imagination. So it was fascinating. So what was really interesting to me was, and I wish we had it here to compare, the big body. I can't imagine it, because that rig, you know, I'm trying to wrap my head around the big body because it's not here. Because as you look at that rig, the amount of storage on that rig is just absolutely mind-boggling. And I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah, how could you get more, right?
Right. But then again, remember that a lot of communities that we're working in, they don't have dedicated squads. So you have to get your tools and you have to have your equipment on your trucks and on your engines. And so, you know, take the squad out of it, take the rolling toolbox out of it, you've got to have a place to put your tools. Really like the slides out, because then you can mount those tools. They're easy to get to. You're taking them off. You're not trying to lift them out of a compartment. And your slides that come out and down, you know, it really makes it ergonomically correct, and you don't have to worry about, you know, reaching up and over, upper body strength and issues like that. So really well laid out and nicely done. I like it, and I really like the upgrade to the Typhoon cab. I'm really impressed with that.
Absolutely.
So I like what we've done. I like raising that AC. I like the increased visibility. Some really nice features. And I know a lot of people, you know, I preach about it all the time, so I don't have any problem saying it. If you're not thinking clean cab, you're not thinking. So you want to make sure when you're going to design your next engine or your next, you know, your next truck company, make sure you got clean cab in mind, because not only does it protect your people, it protects your rig, it protects the people who your people are protecting. So,
absolutely.
You know, you want to be thinking about that all the time. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but you got your HEPA filter, and then you also have your air purifier, and we're going to get into that later. So there's a couple of features that I want you to really be thinking about as you're thinking about that next rig that you're going to be purchasing. And you're going to be purchasing a rig. You might not be thinking about it now, but you will be purchasing a rig soon, because that's just the way life is. So some great options here. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it extremely well. Again, we talk a lot about the safety and health aspect, and really need to be focusing on that for all of us, for sure.
I think we got another question, Ed.
We do. We have another question, and it is from Stephen Leslie, and it's a really good one. Can you do a tandem pumper tanker? And the answer to that is yes. So what that means is to take what would be a traditional single rear axle pumper and put a tandem axle into the back of it. And we've built quite a few of those. And the idea behind it is additional water tank capacity or compartmentation, hose load. So a lot of advantages to the tandem axle pumper tanker, but it does add to the cost and the vehicle size, and maneuverability suffers a little bit. But absolutely, you can do a tandem axle version. Yep.
That's a really good question. Yeah. And we did get a question that came in a little bit earlier about the tank size. We've been talking about the fact that you can go 1,500 or you can go 1,800. Yeah. You know, it's all about what you think for your community. So that about wraps it up. We're going to get ready for lunch. You're at the REV Apparatus and Technology Conference. We're on day 3. It's engine day. We've got another amazing engine to look at in just about an hour. And then we're going to have a round table where you can ask questions and maybe win valuable prizes. So a few folks won some valuable prizes yesterday. So go have lunch, take a break, and we'll see you back here in about an hour, right, Mr. Producer? About an hour. This is the REV Apparatus and Technology Conference, brought to you by our great sponsors at Darley, IDEX, United Safety, Whelen, and Hendrickson. Please let them know how much you appreciate it. We just looked at a beautiful Darley pump. We've been looking at their products on all this apparatus all week long. You know, when you're talking about steer tech and innovations like that, it's just amazing stuff. It's important stuff to think about. These aren't your grandfather's pumpers. These aren't your grandfather's trucks. These are the new innovation that's taking customization into the affordable realm for all of us. It used to be custom pumps for places with big budgets. Not anymore. You wouldn't believe how affordable some of these rigs are. So please don't think that these are only for the people with deep pockets. I was amazed when I found out how affordable these rigs are, because these folks have figured out how to get us custom rigs at commercial prices. So just a great week here with our folks from REV. Please, everything's on demand. If you missed Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, please go look at that stuff on demand. You're going to absolutely enjoy it. Just a ton of information from men like Larry and Joe, who absolutely know every piece of this equipment, and they'd be happy to talk to you. Join us again in an hour.